Hi, everybody. This is Lynn, and it is Wednesday, the 13th of December. We're getting quite close to Christmas. I thought I'd make a short little podcast because I made a discovery today. Unexpected discovery because I wasn't looking for it, I was looking for something else. I've been doing research to cover the Benesutti article I've been writing. I found a lot of good information there, but I stumbled across a baptismal record and actually a few baptismal records that changed my entire story of my eight times great grandparents. Now, here, let me just introduce you to this is my Santa Croce master tree. It's called Santa Croce because that's the name of the parish, Santa Croce del Bleggio. That's where my father came from. For the last decade or so, perhaps a little more, I've been working on a master tree to plot all the people who were born in Santa Croce or who moved there and had families there. From the beginning of the records and to the present day, when I can get to the present day, and also from before the beginning of the records, when I can find other references in legal parchments and other kinds of books. So anyway, to introduce you to this, the Onorati family are a very old established family in Bono in Santa Croce. That was my grandmother's maiden name, was Onorati. And this couple they are my eight times great grandparents. However, he's not he's via my grandmother, but he's via a female line because it's his daughter who married another Onorati, and that's how I'm descended from them. And so then this Francesco, is the direct male line ancestor of my grandmother. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to talk about this lady here named Chiara De Barati. You might see it in records called Clara, because Clara is the way we'd say it in English, and it's also the way they would write it in Latin. However, Chiara is the Italian way of spelling it, because they don't have a cl sound like that, so it would be Chiara. Anyway, I knew that Chiara was the daughter of Grazia De Barati, a notary who was working in Trento. I knew different things about him, and I knew that he died sometime not long after his daughter married. Now, she married in 1617, so she would have been, what is that? That's 24, almost, not quite. And so she was, she had been given a dowry. And then what happened is her father died. And the problem is that he died right around the time, it's just before the beginning of the death records. So I don't know the exact time, but I have a kind of a year window where I know he had to have died between the marriage and a certain date. And that date is in the following year, in 1618. Now, the reason why I know that is a while back. When I say while back, I mean, I don't know, about 8 years ago, I think, I found a document at the municipal library in Trento. They have a room there called the Sala Trentina. And in there they have an archives. And some old legal documents are in these archives. Trento has so many archives, it's hard to know where everything is. Some are in the provincial archives, some are in the state archives, some are in the municipal libraries, some are in the diocesan archives. They are all over the place, and even some are in the Castello de Buon Consiglio. So this one happened to be in the municipal library. They made a photocopy of it for me. They don't have it digitized, but I got to hold the document, and they made a photocopy. Now I'm going to go back and read it again, because back when I got it, it's all in Latin. It's very long and very complicated. And so I only got the gist of it, because I didn't want to try to decipher all the Latin, but I might look at it again and see if I can understand it a little bit better. What I understood from the document was that when Domenico and Chiara married, she was promised a dowry. by her father. And what happened is she never got it. Now, women were given dowries to take with them. It was like their own personal savings account to help them in case they were widowed, and just to, it was like their safety net. And she was never given it. So it's not, I mean, sometimes women, if they get big dowries and the man is very rich, then, then maybe the man also benefits from the money as well. But the thing is, they're really more for the women, for their security. But what happened is she didn't get it. And in this document, it was a lawsuit. And the lawsuit was, it mentions Chiara's mother, and her mother was named Maddalena, or Maria Maddalena. And it, of course, mentions her late father, and it mentions 3 brothers. And it had the name Prospero, Aloisio, which is also Luigi, same as Luigi, an older form of Luigi. So Prospero, Aloisio, and Bartolomeo. And so it mentions these 3 brothers, and they are contesting basically the dowry, and they're not willing to pay it. I think in the end, Domenico was given to him. He won the case because he's also a very high-powered notary, and I think he won the case. However, I was envisioning this. Let me tell you, and this is why it's not good to make assumptions. I was envisioning that these 3 brothers were older brothers, and they were greedy, rich, whatever, and they were trying to cheat their little sister out of her dowry. That was the story I made up in my head, and I assumed that they were born before I could find them in the records. Well, here's what I found today. First of all, I didn't know Chiara's birthday because I had thought she was going to be found in the Duomo, the records for the cathedral parish in Trento, or in Comano, which is where the family was from. Family was originally from Comano in Vicolo Maso in Val Giudicare. So I couldn't find her, and I couldn't find the brothers. So I assumed that they were born before the beginning of the records in Comano, but today I found out that was not correct. Today I found out that they were all born in Trento, and in fact they were registered in the parish of Santa Maria Maggiore. The one person I couldn't find was her brother Prospero, but I found the other 2 brothers. Now have a look at this. I'm going to show you this. And this changes the story completely. As I said, I don't know why I can't find Prospero's record. Maybe he is in the Duomo parish. I don't know, but he's got to have been born in here because that's where there's a gap. Now here's the actual story. Chiara was the oldest child. These other brothers were little brothers. So Prospero, if he was born in 1595, in 1618, he was only 23. And his mother was a single mother with still some young children. I don't know if Caterina was still alive or not, but the other 2 brothers definitely were. And Aloisio was only 16. And the other one was, 18 and 3, so 21. So they were young, unmarried young men, and with a single mother. And so I can fully see that it's like, okay, the father made the dowry promise in goodwill, and then he died. Within a year's time, or a year and a half, 2 years' time, he died. And I can fully see them saying, we are destitute. So even though Croce he was a chancellor in Trento, probably made a decent amount of money. Suddenly they were without income. In those days, a single mother is not going to have all that much money. So I don't know the financial situation, but this changes the story completely. I was envisioning these 3 big brothers being very, kind of gruff and roar. And the other thing is, I had found this baptismal record for Grazie Dei, and I realized that he died relatively young, and I hadn't made the connection, because here's one other thing I want to point out. When I say I hadn't made the connection that this baptismal record was for him. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that when I look at the there's a book of notaries by P. Remo Stenico. Sometimes, and this is where I have often gotten into trouble when I'm researching. Sometimes he mixes up men notaries who had the same name. And you can see it. Sometimes it's obvious. You look at the dates and you say, no, it's notary. He couldn't have been a notary for 60 years. And then there's gaps in the between. So you realize he's got to be talking about two different people. But there was another Grazie Dei of a similar time frame who never went to Trento, who stayed in Comano and was married to different women. He had one wife who died and then another one. Now, I had made all of these assumptions, and that was informing how my tree looked. And now I've redesigned it, and it looks completely different. And I also then now have realized, yes, of course, he's the son of Prospero. That would have been his oldest son's name. And I'm theorizing that perhaps his mother's name was Chiara, because the mother's name isn't in the baptismal record. So I'm theorizing that. That's a theory. But so that's why I have a question mark there. But at any rate, this is a totally different story. Instead of having these big, aggressive, greedy, brothers trying to cheat their little sister out of her dowry, there are these three younger brothers supporting a single mom, widow, who, with still some minor children. Aloisio, at least, was still only 16. He was not really of marriageable age yet. Bartolomeo could have, but they still have to take care of their mother. And that's what I wanted to share with you today. It was that when we make assumptions, sometimes we look at a story and we think this and that about people, and then we look at it a little closer and we realize, no, actually we're wrong, and there's more to it than what we thought. The last thing I wanted to show you was her baptismal record. I have a lot of references for her. You can see it's a bit messy. It looks like Bussati, but it is Barati, and Barati is usually spelled with two T's. And this says Clara, daughter of E.G. means egregio, which is a term used for notaries. It means, his the respected or something to that effect. So egregio means heavy weighted, whatever, grievous, but not in a mean way. It means that he's to be taken seriously. So egregio dom Grazie Dei Barati. That says pub not, which means public notary. Tridentino, this is an abbreviation for Trento. And Donna Maddalena, it says Magdalene. Donna Maddalena, his wife. This funny character is a shorthand for UX, which is the Latin for uxor, which is wife. So, and his wife. And then it has the priest's name, who is the pastor of the church, and it says that she was baptized on the 9th of the month of August, 1593. And then the godparents were the most excellent, the most excellent dominus, doctor, the most excellent doctor, Dom Antonio Job. Now, I had been posting some things earlier today for Sal Romano, because his family, he has the Job family, so this is actually my ancestor. Her godfather was one of the Jobs, Dr. Antonio Job, and the most illustrious lady, Lucrezia, Countess, Comitessa Countess, Lodron. That's a noble family, the Lodron, a family of counts. Lucrezia, Countess of Lodron, and the wife, I don't think is a widow, wife of the most illustrious Count Girolamo Jr. So that's his junior there, which is kind of funny looking. So there are two Girolamo Lodrons, so he's the younger one. And I'd actually been writing about them as well, because they have a connection to the Bertelli family that I was writing an article about. So anyways, it's kind of a messy looking article, document, but it tells me a lot. And also the fact that now I can tell clearly that she was the eldest child. Definitely. And he's got to, this, as I say, Prospero's got to have been born there. Maybe he's over in the Duomo, I don't know, but he's not in Maria Maddalena. But it does change the story. Wanted to share that with you because I thought it was interesting, and it also is to invite you into thinking about looking at looking at your tree a little more deeply. And also, I had made a false assumption that this Grazia Dei was moving back and forth between Trento and Comano, and I was wrong. The one in Comano is not him. This is a different person. And so this made a lot more sense to me. And, it's just pulled it together. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me for now. Bye.